better day starts with a better breakfast at Subway. Choose what you love, from the better-for-you Western egg white muffin melt to the delicious double bacon and cheese omelet on toasty flatbread. Try it with juicy tomatoes and spicy jalapenos. Let Subway help you build your better breakfast today. Subway. Eat fresh. The B.S. Report is a free-flowing conversation that occasionally touches on mature subjects.
First of all,
this is the B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
It might be cool, I don't know. And if it's not, I don't care.
The B.S. Report with Bill Simmons.
Bill Simmons works for ESPN. He's also named the sports guy, and he writes a comical sports column. He must be a popular dude.
The B.S. Report.
It's got a real dirty sound, like a rusty steak knife cutting through a well-aged steak.
Now.
Here's Bill Simmons.
Welcome to the B.S. Report. Another sunny day in Southern California. Wednesday afternoon, we're going to call our friend JackO at work because the Yankee fans are a little bit panicking about what's going on here in the AL East. Let's get his take right now.
Complex Litigation, this is John.
Oh, Johnny!
Jesus, you're going to hurt yourself on that one.
I love what's happening. You're self-destructing.
Oh,
It's falling apart. You just won the World Series. You're bashing your players on Twitter and stuff.
I know.
What's going on with you?
The past 2 days were extremely frustrating. Extremely frustrating.
Shouldn't you just be like cruising along, enjoying the ride at this point?
I should be, but I'm incapable of cruising along and enjoying the ride. Didn't you do away with the whole 5-year window thing after you win a championship? Didn't you write extensively about this in a mailbag recently or something?
I did, but here's the thing. It's not like you guys have – it's not like it's been a series of calamities along the lines of what's afflicted the 2010 Red Sox where, you know, we lose our best players, our two best players on a foul ball off a foot and then on a swing. Where I'm still not sure what happened, but somehow Euclid is out for the year. Yeah,
but the gritty, gutty Red Sox are hanging tough. You gotta love the Red Sox. They're right in the thick of things after losing their best players over and over and over again. It's not frustrating for you.
The thick of things is a little strong.
They're only 5 back of the Yanks, and they're only 4.5 behind the Rays. Right in the heart of this thing.
We need a collapse. We need somebody to collapse more than we need
Yanks,
to do well.
The Yanks, I think, are going to accommodate that at this rate.
Let's start with Jeter because you're worried that he might be washed up.
I'm worried we're in the Mickey Mantle playing first base stage of Jeter's career now. I mean, it's really sad to see. I mean, against the Red Sox, he came up in a big situation and couldn't deliver the runners when he was up with bases loaded, nobody out. Actually, no, he was up with bases loaded and 1 out because he came up after the inevitable Curtis Granderson strikeout that I've seen far too many times already this year.
Yes.
And 5 years ago, Jeter gets a big hit right there to blow that game wide open to put the Yanks up.
He goes to opposite field, flips it over the second baseman's head, one of those hits.
Exactly, fist pump at first base type deal. That's what we would have had, and we just aren't getting that anymore. Last night he came up in a big situation with Cano on first base, tries to get down a bunt, couldn't get down a bunt, and then hits a hard ground ball that ended up being a kind of a fluky double play because Cano had to stop so the ball wouldn't hit him. But grounded into a double play, and he's not... I can't believe I'm saying this. This is blasphemy, but he's really not Captain Clutch anymore.
Oh.
It's troublesome.
Oh, Johnny.
It's troublesome.
How old is he, 35?
I think so, 35 or 36, yeah.
And it's not, being 35 in this decade is not like being 35 in the previous decade when 35 was 25.
Yeah, and he's because there's no more greenies and what have you, right?
Well, greenies, how about reddies?
No more PEDs, right?
Big fat things, yeah.
Exactly, but he's been playing since 1996. He's getting a little long in the tooth there. So to say he's Mickey Mantle playing first is probably a little strong. He's not quite there yet, but he's just not what he was anymore. Let's put it that way. So a little slowing down, I think.
Last year was like the last one great year before the inevitable decline, you think?
Yeah, I mean, he's obviously going to hang on and get his 3,000 hits, be the first Yankee ever to get 3,000 hits, and he's an all-time immortal Yankee, and I yield to no one in my love of Derek Jeter. It's just his performance this year has been a little lacking. Let's put it that way. Maybe I've come to expect too much from him, and I should lower my expectations. Maybe we're at that point of his career.
When you said 3,000 hits, do you mean base hits or hits with groupies?
I think he's already over the groupies, 3,000 hits.
He's at 15,000. 15,000 sexual hits.
I think he's going for Pete Rose's number in that one. Yeah, easily. Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I think this is something we're going to see this decade is that we've become conditioned to these guys not getting old.
Yeah, we're expecting everybody to play like Barry Bonds, and Jeter does not
like
have
everybody. Guys hitting, 45 homers when they're 38 and people getting better when they hit their mid-30s, and now we're going to find out that actually that's the opposite is what happens. You just get old and you stop playing.
Right, exactly. That's which was the natural progression of things up until this point, right?
That's how God decided it was going to be.
Exactly, right. Exactly. Guys like Pete Rose that played for 40 years without PEDs or whatever he played for, they were the anomaly rather than the rule, So.
Well, I remember when Yaz lost it over the course of 4 years from 1980 to 1983. And I think it's the toughest in baseball at all the sports because the at-bats and the guy comes up and he kind of looks like the old guy. But
right.
Like in football, you get the helmets and stuff and the guy gets old and you just quickly get cast aside. In baseball, you can really hang on for like 5-6 years.
Right, exactly. The guy hangs up. Exactly. He looks the same, the helmet thing, I agree with all that. And just the eyes aren't there and the bat speed's not there. And you're like, well, wait, why isn't he hitting a hit here? Why isn't he hitting it out?
He's a little thicker. Maybe he's a little thicker, but that's about it. But otherwise, it looks like the same guy. And yet, all of a sudden, like 92-mile-an-hour fastballs are just totally confounding him and things like that. I don't think you're quite there with Jeter. I just think he's having a bad year.
Yeah, I just think he's not. Yeah, maybe it's just a bad year. You just hope that it's not, Father Time sitting in here, but
plus,
it could be.
For you guys, watching Rivera pitch now into his 50s and doing God knows what illegally.
What?
God forbid he ever gets thrown into it.
Oh, my God.
Come on.
You better be careful that lightning doesn't strike you down.
How old is this guy going to be and still have a sub-2 ERA?
It's a gift from God.
What, in 2020 we're still going to be doing this?
He's a religious man, Bill. He was blessed by our Lord with
a lot of people believe in God. Why is he the one that gets to pitch till he's 58?
He's a miracle. Let's not question him. Let's just enjoy it. Let's just enjoy what he brings us.
I mean, he is skinny. He's got that going for him.
They say that there was a thing the other day. I forget what I was listening on the radio, and I read this when they had the article about Rivera in Sports Illustrated a while ago, that he's like the best athlete on the Yankees even today. And they said, like, who's the Yankees' best center fielder? If you ask Jeter that, he'll say Mariano Rivera, because apparently in batting practice he puts on like a display shacking flies in center field.
Really?
That they think that he could practice for like 2 days and be plugged in and be like, in his younger days, 10 years ago, he could have been like one of the best center fielders in baseball.
Wow.
He's apparently just an ungodly athlete.
So when God touches you, you can really do anything.
Pretty much, yes. Pretty much.
We have Jacoby Ellsbury, who's an amazing athlete, who finally came back from the dead in Monday's game and stole 4 bags.
I know.
Like the old Ellsbury. Kind of got me a little excited.
Every Sox fan wanted to run him out of town, and he ran his way right back into their hearts.
Got me a little excied. I'm not going to lie. I've given up on the season 10 times. I've given up on the season about, I don't know, 10 times since June.
They've been killed off and buried, and then they rise from the dead.
Well, I do think, so Monday, about to lose 3 straight to the Yanks after winning the Friday game. Bases loaded, no outs, 7th inning.
Yeah.
It seemed like that was the key inning to the season. And if they don't get out of that inning, the season's over.
I'll go even a little bit before that in the same inning, as I'm a big believer, as foolish as it may be, in destiny and luck. Marcus Thames misses a 2-run home run by like inches that would have tied the game. Those are the things upon which destiny turns right there. Fortunes of 2 teams may have turned in that couple inches. It
could have been a big inning. And, odds are the Red Sox will now lose the next 5, and I'll get blamed for doubly reversed or whatever. But it was one of those innings that watching it started to feel like, all right, this is now. And it's funny that it's my favorite thing about baseball, and Lord knows baseball has been bugging me this year with how long these games are. Like, even that Monday game was 3:38 for a 2-1 game.
Yes.
You got 3 hours, 38 minutes for 3 runs. Something is drastically wrong.
Yankees Red Sox game that ends in 3 hours and 38 minutes, though, that's like a Usain Bolt sprint for them.
Yeah, they went under 3 in a couple games.
3:38, I mean, that's just ridiculous for them. 5 hours is the norm, I think, so.
But when you're kind of following the ebbs and flow of a season, just randomly, all of a sudden you'll be watching and be like, oh my God, this is a really big inning all of a sudden. It feels like it's bigger than just the game. And I felt like last year I remember that when that extra inning game went into like inning 15 or whatever.
Yeah.
And it kind of started to feel that way too, like if the Red Sox don't win this, the season's over. And as it turned out, it was. In that inning, I think the season would have been over. Now they're kind of hanging on. The interesting thing is Tampa seems like maybe they have some karma against them.
Yeah, because they've been no-hit almost 3 times now.
Yeah,
and the ball hitting the ball hitting the catwalk or whatever. They went in a tailspin after that.
Yeah, Destiny seems like she's against them. So even though she did sleep with Matt Garza, maybe to make everyone else jealous, but now she's back to being against them. Right.
It could be. Yeah, they looked they were going to catch fire, and then they sort of fell back to earth big time. So could be that Destiny is not a big fan of the Rays.
The crazy thing with them is that like they have starting pitchers get hurt, and then they're like, oh yeah, we're going to bring up Jeremy Hellickson. He'd be a number 2 or number 3 starter on 25 other teams in the league, and he's been in AAA all year. We're going to bring him up. He's going to throw a 3-hitter.
Right, and it's not like they have a huge payroll like one of these teams, well, the Yankees or the Red Sox, or they're talent rich, but they don't have a fortune to spend, the Rays. So that is weird.
That's what my dad and I were talking yesterday. We were saying that this Red Sox team, even though they, for whatever reason, the farm system didn't come through just for this specific generation right now. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it came through with the Ellsbury-Lester group, Pedroia. But we don't have that Hellickson guy to bring up. And actually, neither do the Yankees.
No.
Don't have that guy lurking like, oh, yeah, let's bring this guy up, even though we've been sitting on him for 3 months. The best guy the Red Sox have is Casey Kelly, and he's probably a year away. I don't know who the Yankees' best pitcher is, but I don't think it's anybody special.
No, I don't think they have any great. They have like 5 catching prospects that are supposedly fantastic, but
yeah, I'll send a catcher. Hey, you know what? You might need one of those after watching Posada try to throw out Ellsbury on Monday.
Oh my God, I know. And now yesterday he didn't play because he's got something wrong with his shoulder now or something. But yeah, he's aging by the minute.
So I gotta ask, do you like the 2010 Yankees? You watch every game.
Yeah, I mean, I like guys I like Cano. I like Cano a lot. I like Nick Swisher for the most part. I like what although Nick Swisher might be getting to like 14 minutes and 59 seconds of his fame at this point.
I'd say he led E60 last week. I was laughing. I was in my hotel room in Baltimore, and they're like, coming up, Jeremy Schaap spends time with Nick Swisher. I'm like, what?
I know. I actually saw it on the Sunday Sports Center when they replayed that. I was like, is E60 running out of stories, or has Nick Swisher really blown up?
I think it was a tough August for E60, as witnessed by the fact that I just shot a piece for them, too.
Oh, fantastic. Yeah. I love your work on E60.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
I wish they would let you sit at the table in the black and white montage, but maybe...
You know what, I think I'm going to demand that before my piece airs. I had a couple ideas. I want it to be, they have that montage in the beginning where everybody's racing to get to the meeting.
Yeah.
They're all like hailing cabs and stuff. I just wanted to be lying in bed face down and the alarm clock's going off. I just keep hitting the snooze button. Higher ups not as excited for that idea, but I thought it'd be funny. Me naked from the waist up, just repeatedly hitting the alarm clock.
That would be good.
And then I thought, if I do get in that circle, I'm just going right at Chap. You just got to bring down the big dog right away. You just got to go. He's explaining his idea, and you do the whole. I don't know, Jeremy. I feel like that story's been done. Yeah, it feels like familiar ground to me, Jeremy. Get him all riled up.
Establish your dominance right from the outset.
This is my table, Simmons.
So I like Swisher, I like Cano, I like Sabathia, but there's a lot of guys. I mean, Granderson I still think Granderson's a good interview and seems like a nice guy, but my God, he just could not hit a lefty to save his life. Just could not hit a lefty to save his life. And earlier in the year, I had a tweet about, in my entire life as being a Yankee fan, that Chan-Ho Park was the single worst Yankee I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I may have to amend that now, given Lance Berkman's performance so far.
It's only been a week.
Oh my God,
2 weeks.
I wouldn't really mind if Lance Berkman hit the ball hard occasionally, but I mean, he flails like a gate swinging in a hurricane. It's pathetic. If I see one more pop up to short, I'm gonna freak out. I'm gonna throw something at my TV.
Couple interesting things with that. When they traded for him, I forget where I read this, but maybe it was in Buster's column or somebody, but they said, or maybe the announcer said, I can't remember, but Berkman said he was at the point of his career where he either needed to retire or or find that fear again. He was like, in Houston, I don't, we're not a good team.
Yeah, he had this quote. Yeah, I have to start now. I can start caring again, or something along those lines.
Yeah, it was a weird quote. It was basically like, I need to basically be tested, or else my whole career I might as well retire. And I was thinking, like, man, if he didn't feel like he was feeling any pressure in Houston, like this is like the complete opposite. You go from. It's almost like taking somebody who's in a 4-foot pool swimming, and then you just throw them into like the Pacific Ocean with like an undertow. Here, swim. It's been a while. Go ahead, do it.
Exactly. And I know they traded basically a bucket of balls to get him, so it's not like they gave up a lot. But I said from back in December, whenever the trade happened, what a disaster Nick Johnson was going to be, and Nick Johnson was who we thought he was. And so now they're counting on Lance Berkman a lot because he's going to be the DH every day.
Yeah.
And he's just brutal. I mean, he may be done. I don't want to kick him. I feel bad, but God, he's just killing him.
Well, the two concerns.
He did have a big game Sunday against the Sox, though.
His stats really did drop the last 2 years, and then you think like, if the NL really is as inferior to the AL as we seem to think, and you're going from that jump of competition.
Right.
Now the NL fans would say screw you to that.
Right.
Still, it is interesting that he comes to the AL and can barely get the ball out of the infield.
Yeah, he's just terrible.
He came up. I called my dad. We were talking after the game yesterday, or Monday's game.
Yeah.
And he was like, I was really worried. Then that Berkman guy came up. I felt good when he was up. So it was good to see him.
It's the way I felt watching the series when Kevin Cash came to bat.
Yeah. That's not what you want from your free agent acquisition. What about A-Rod?
Well, I don't know. I mean, A-Rod was having the thing is he has a lot of RBIs. I guess stat geeks say RBIs don't matter, but I'm old school. I still like people to knock in runs because that's how you win the game. But he's pretty good in RBIs, but these things get in his head, I guess. I don't want to play amateur psychologist here, but the 600 home run thing, he went in a tailspin trying to get number 600.
He really did.
And that chase was freaking painful. And he couldn't do it the one game of the year that I went to so far, July 25th. God forbid he hits it while I was there in the building.
July 25th, he waited like 2 weeks after that.
I know. Then it went another 9 games after that, exactly. So that seemed to take forever, and maybe now that's out of the way, and last night he hit number 601, so maybe that's like a weight off his shoulders, but I couldn't take any more of the at-bats and them talking about it and the flash bulbs and changing the baseballs, so that sort of screwed him up big time. And he's only got 18 home runs now in the year, which is a pretty down year for him.
It was funny when ESPN just stopped cutting in. Like day 8, they're like, screw it. First 3 days, we gotta go to A-Rod, he's coming up. And then by day 8, it was like, all right.
Yeah, exactly.
You've lost your cut-in privileges, A-Rod.
They would just have the crawl on the bottom of the screen. A-Rod grounds up to short or whatever.
Yeah. We'll tell you guys after he hits it. That'll be good.
We'll do the cut-in after the fact of the highlight, right?
All the NASCAR fans and the World's Tennis Tour, all those people, it's the 5th set of some random tennis championship, and here comes A-Rod first cut-in. He popped out. What the funniest thing about it, though, is we didn't do a podcast right before that, but we could have probably predicted how long it was going to take him, right?
Yeah, and the funny thing is they talked about how it took him, I forget how many at-bats, 18 at-bats or something, to go from number 499 to 500. And they asked him about that after he hit 599, and he's like, it got in my head, but not this time, not with 600. It'll come when it comes. And then it went even longer. It was 40 at-bats or whatever it ended up being.
My highlight was I was driving somewhere on a Friday afternoon, and I was listening to the Brian Kenny show. And he's like, we got to cut to whoever. Let's go to Yankee broadcasters John Sterling and Susan Waldman.
Yes.
How has this post-Steinbrenner era been for you?
It was so funny. When we went to the Yankees game on the 25th, I went with a buddy of mine, Rick, and we were walking by the gift shop, and he's like, hang on, I have to go buy something, kiddingly, because in the window they had a shirt that said, let's win it for George. Let's do it for George.
Are you serious?
I swear to God.
Nobody remembers that he's been dead for 4 weeks now. Can we talk about this was not a great owner.
I'm like, I don't think the let's do it for George is really selling like hotcakes out of the gift shop. People really have a warm feeling this sentimental, wonderful man, let's do it for him,
Jeez.
Although I will say this, if George Steinbrenner was alive, there's no way Mark Teixeira misses last night's game for the birth of his third child. I was so mad about that when I realized why he wasn't there. And I realize this makes me a chauvinist, and I'm not a modern thinking person apparently, but the guy makes $20 million, $20,625,000 this year. I looked it up. He's a professional athlete. In exchange for that $20,625,000, he's expected to play in the games. It's not his first kid. It's his third kid.
So you're saying after 2 kids, you have to play?
Yeah.
Show me the kid afterwards.
Yeah. I mean, it's one thing if he has a 9-to-5 job and he's making $60,000. You want to be Mr. Mom and be there every day and give him a bath. That's fine. You signed on to be a professional athlete to make more money in 1 year than most people will ever see in their lives. In exchange for that, there's certain sacrifices you have to make, like not being there for the birth of your third kid when the Yankees are in the midst of a pennant race.
Were they home last night? I forget.
They were in Texas.
Oh, so semi. I mean, if they were playing in New York, I think that would be a little worse, right?
Oh, well, if it was in New York, my God, that would be an outrage, like if he couldn't drive down from the hospital to the airport. But I'm mad about the fact that he called in sick because of his kid. You can't call in sick when you're a professional athlete for that.
And
if it was I would cut him slack if it was his first kid, or if there was complications with the pregnancy. But it's his third kid. It's not new to him. He's already seen 2 kids be born.
I don't know. First of all, I would never want to miss the birth of any of my kids, having been in the room for both. I think it would just be weird to show up like a day later. And then second, I don't know if Mrs. Teixeira forgives him for that one.
Oh, I think he could probably buy his way out of that doghouse, no?
Don't forget my 12% rule, Johnny.
What's the I already have forgotten the 12% rule.
Well, because you don't have a kid yet.
Right.
Women get 12% crazier after each kid.
Oh, okay.
So Mrs. Teixeira is now operating at 64%. You don't mess with that. He comes home, he's asleep, and then all of a sudden he's getting hit over the head with one of his own bats at 3 a.m.
If the Celtics were battling for a playoff spot or number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and Rondo decides to take the game off because his third kid is being born, you're telling me you're not going to be fired up about that?
Nah, because it's more teams can make the playoffs now. I think if
basketball is a bad example because it's baseball and you're battling it's only 2 teams in the East. Out of the East are going to make it. Essentially, out of three teams for 2 spots. They're playing
Johnny.
Texas, a playoff. Somebody they're going to see in the playoffs if the Yankees get in. A crucial game, crucial series. They've dropped a couple to the Red Sox, and he's not there for the birth of his third kid.
Joe Meade.
Yes.
You just had a kid. If your kid was having wife number 3, but I had Obama on the B.S. Report.
My kid was having wife number 3.
If your wife was having kid number 3, but I had Obama on the B.S. Report, would you call in sick?
Yeah.
See, people are going to call in sick. It doesn't matter what kid it is.
I don't know what Joe Meade's making, but I'm going to venture to guess he's not making $20,625,000.
Oh, we're not done negotiating it yet, but it's going to be in the ballpark.
And I think, and the other that this there doesn't really work either because no offense to Joe Meade, it is a fine job, but somebody else could fill in for Joe Meade. Lance Berkman playing first base and Marcus Tibbs batting third at the DH spot.
That's a pretty big drop off.
Teixeira.
Yeah, that would be the equivalent of Joe getting the janitor to do the BS report.
That's exactly right.
Lance Berkman at first base. Oh my God, I actually saw some of his work.
Lance Berkman.
It's like out of a softball league. It really is.
He's got the body of a softball player.
I almost tweeted once because I saw him totally confounded by a little pop-up over his head. It was like the first or second game they got him. Do you remember that play? It was a little blooper over his head, and he was like, ah! It completely fell apart.
I saw Victor Martinez play first base, and he wasn't
he's
sure
no
which
prize.
foot to put on the bag. So
he's no prize either.
Those in glass houses shouldn't throw stones.
Yeah, I think they're roughly equivalent.
I don't know. The Teixeira thing, that really bothers me.
It feels, I gotta be honest, it feels a little like you're grasping at straws because you're not used to prosperity and you won the title last year.
If Steinbrenner was alive, are you telling me it was alive and lucid? Are you telling me there's no way you think he would stand for Mark Teixeira blowing off the game?
So I have to go back to 1998 for this scenario?
Well, how about like I'll go even further. How about like 1977 era George Steinbrenner?
Oh, no, he'd be off the team.
Reggie Jackson blows off a big Red Sox series because he's having his third kid. Steinbrenner, you're telling me he wouldn't have like a meltdown?
And I think he would have fired Billy Martin. He claimed that he knew about it and didn't tell him.
Exactly. That's exactly right. I don't know, but I haven't really found many people as outraged about this as I was. Even like on the New York papers, I was hoping to read comments. Everybody's like, "Oh, congratulations on the kid, Mark."
I'm going to remind you of this conversation if and when you have a child and you mail me some photo album that has 158 pictures from the delivery room.
I have nothing. I love kids. I'm good with kids. I love kids. And my issue isn't with the kids or being a father. I'm saying in that role that you have as a professional athlete, I think he has to be there for the game.
All right.
For his
it's
third
too bad
kid.
we can't go to a Sports Nation poll right now.
Let's
see what Sports Nation thought. 58% think he should have played.
Again, there's two exceptions. First kid and complications. He has to be there. But from everything I've seen, everything was fine. And it's
what about not your kid?
What's that?
What about not your kid or somebody having the kid who's not your wife?
Well, obviously, yeah, like if he's there for his sister's pregnancy or something to watch his niece be born, that would be an even bigger issue.
What about mistress?
That one I think is a judgment call. Depends.
Depends where the game
Depends what she's got on you.
A.J. Burnett, thoughts, feelings?
Well, they tried to make excuses for him when he went in a slump earlier, that it was because Dave Island, the pitching coach, was away for a while. And then he came back and he still was no good. But he pitched pretty well last night. And I don't know if I buy the story about the back spasms or if they just didn't want him pitching against the Red Sox.
Yeah,
because I didn't see any back spasms last night. He pitched pretty well last night. He made one bad pitch on the home run that he gave up. But otherwise, 6 innings, 3 runs, they'll take that from him against Texas.
This is something that should be added to everybody's baseball reference page and ESPN.com page when there's certain pitchers that they had the excuses of, they only like certain catchers.
Yeah,
his pitching coach isn't there. How about this? Just throw the ball. Try to make the hitters hit it.
Pitchers are always kind of quirky and like they need special attention and coddling, but at a certain point, enough is enough. AJ's pretty well compensated. Get the ball, throw the ball, AJ. How about that?
At the same time, a very predictable sophomore slump for him.
Oh, yeah.
In the Yankee uniform.
Yeah, oh, yeah. Everybody knew that he'd be a roller coaster ride, and he will be for the whole 5 years that they have him. Every game is a roller coaster with him. You never know what you're going to get, so.
You just made me think of something. I got this interesting email from a Yankee fan who pointed out something that I'm sure in your Yankee world you knew this, but I had never thought about it. Mike Mussina signed with the Yankees the year after they won their final title.
Right. 2001.
Left the Yankees at the end of 2008, and then they won in 2009.
That's right.
Does he ever get blamed for the drought?
He could have been. Could have been like a Don Mattingly thing.
I thought that was really interesting. And also, it made me look at his stats and his, 270 wins. Not that wins are the be-all and end-all, but still, he had probably a Hall of Fame career. I thought
borderline, yeah.
Interesting that...
and if he had won a World Series, that probably would have put him over the border. That probably gets him in if he has a ring.
Yeah. But it was interesting that he just somehow missed that window completely and played the most possible seasons while missing the window.
Maybe he was the problem.
How are you feeling about Kerry Wood?
He has flashes of
I thought he looked good on Monday.
What's that?
I thought he looked good on Monday.
Yeah, he has flashes of looking all right. You just can't keep him in there too long. He's good for 1 or 2 batters, and then it gets a little dicey.
He's certainly better than the parade of guys that the Red Sox have been throwing out in that 6th, 7th inning stretch.
And again, they got him for nothing off the scrap heap. So anything they get out of him is a bonus. I can't kill the Kerry Wood deal. That was all right.
That seems like the biggest advantage that the big market teams have during the season is that they can just add these guys with the salaries.
Right.
How much does he make? All right.
Sure.
Yeah. Right. Sure. Here's a check.
Whereas if you're the Pirates, you have to sell old memorabilia to try and bring on somebody making $100,000, basically. So
you have to sell sperm and blood to raise the money to go get a mediocre reliever.
Yeah, exactly. So it's definitely an inherent advantage.
So I'm sensing false panic in that deep down you're really pretty optimistic about everything.
No, it's not false panic. I wish I could claim it all as some grand scheme to have a reverse jinx, but the last 2 games have had a playoff atmosphere, and the Yankees have lost both of them. And they faced the Rays and the freaking Blue Jays and the Red Sox of late, and Texas last night, and they're 4-7 in their last 11 games.
I didn't see any of that Texas game. Was that like a legitimate playoff crowd for them?
Yeah, they had a big crowd of people there. There's a lot of Yankee fans there too, but there was a big crowd. They were into it. And there was a lot of like situations, and I mean, I guess the one thing that I sort of started to think about it a little bit more rationally today was the Yankees are going to probably, if the Yankees get in the playoffs, they're going to face the Rangers at some point, potentially in the playoffs. And that was a tight game last night, 2-2, and they had A.J. Burnett on the mound, and they didn't have Cano for most of the game because he was sick. They didn't have Mr. Mom, who was home at the birth of his third child, and Posada didn't play. So you had a lineup that featured Austin Kearns and Lance Berkman and Marcus Timms batting third, and Austin Kearns batting fifth, and the Yankees still only lost by a run in extra innings. So I guess I have to feel pretty good about that.
Austin Kearns, strong name.
It is
great name. Always had one of those names that felt like he should be much better than maybe he is.
It sounds like he should be the Prime Minister of England.
Or like some sort of new Matt Damon action character.
Yeah, that's even better.
Austin Kearns lost his family to a missile. Who is it? What American League team are you most afraid of?
I'm always afraid of the Red Sox. I'm not going to lie to you. 2004 has forever scarred me.
Good.
And they're just lurking out there. I just can't take the Red Sox making the playoffs. The Yankees could have basically left them for dead twice this year. Once there was a time in May when Jabba blew it in the 8th inning, and then the Red Sox went on a little mini streak after that. And I think if they lost Monday's game with Leicester, if the Yankees came back to win that, I think they would have gone into a tailspin, and that could have finished them off, like the final foot on their neck.
Yeah.
And twice we've let them up off the deck, and that makes me nervous.
Is there a scenario left on the earth where Josh Beckett scares you?
No, he doesn't. I'll be honest with you. I think he's done. I think he stinks, and especially against the Yankees.
Yeah, I don't know how to feel about it. Obviously not pitching well, but, man, it's when I'm getting taunting emails and texts from Yankee fans saying, oh, we got Beckett tonight. It's almost like a free win, and I have no counter. That's when it gets tough.
I mean, it didn't even make me nervous. Like,
comeback.
I looked at the pitching matchups for the Yankees-Red Sox series, and we were running Dustin Mosley out there and Javi Vasquez, and it was supposed to be Burnett, and I'm like, oh, my God, like every pitching matchup favors them. And literally in the back of my mind, I'm like, but, we do pretty well against Beckett. He hasn't really put the fear of God into me. So.
Well, I felt the same with Lackey on Saturday.
Yeah.
But that was the one that Burnett got scratched on, right?
No, that was Sabathia.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
But Burnett was supposed to face
right.
Beckett Sunday night.
Well, the Lackey game on Saturday just was like, that's a cross-off.
Yeah.
And then even though we had Beckett and the Burnett got, I actually kind of wanted to see Burnett, I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, of course.
I was kind of hoping he was going to pitch. But I still had no confidence at all. And then the Sunday night thing, too, it's just like, I almost wish they wouldn't play on Sunday nights. That game actually turned out to be mercifully short for how long the Sox-Yankee games. It was only like 3 hours, 2 minutes. But
it was over like 11:15, I think, East Coast time, because I was flipping between that and Mad Men, and then unfortunately Mad Men has limited commercial interruption, so I couldn't catch much during the commercials. But then I watched them after over.
What would be your biggest suggestion for shortening games?
Well, I don't think the batter should be allowed to step out of the box. That drives me crazy, like, the Nomar thing or Big Papi adjusting the gloves when he didn't even take a swing.
Yeah.
That drives me nuts. That's ridiculous.
Do you like Gus's idea that you go no commercials, 4th, 5th, 6th innings?
Well,
almost like Mad Men, you go limited, you just have the sponsor and everything speeds up.
I was going to say,
much time to warm up.
How would they do that though, in terms of paying for it? But you just would have like a Coke logo in the bottom of the screen or something.
You go
in the
soccer.
corner.
You go the soccer move.
The pitcher needs to warm up though, but I guess that would shorten things because it wouldn't be the full 3 minutes or whatever it takes for commercials. He just has to throw 8 pitches or whatever to get loose.
I'd love to know if the pitcher really does need to warm up. You
don't think he does? You think he's still warm?
Seems like 4 would do it. A couple throws, you're ready to go again. Like
they've been doing it. Yeah, the thing is, baseball, they've been probably doing that since 1875, so they're not going to mess that up now,
Well, maybe the guy could be warming up with the other team pitching.
Let's go down to the bullpen and have something underneath, behind the bench.
I used to like that when they had the bullpens on the side of the field and the guys would have to scatter for the line drives.
Yeah, I don't like
Remember
that.
we grew up with those? I always enjoyed those.
I don't care for that so much when it's on the field, yeah.
All right. So
the ball rolls out.
How optimistic are you this week? Or how worried are you this week, I should say?
I'm fairly worried about the Yanks.
5.5?
5.5 sounds about right.
All right.
I just hope the sheriff doesn't have any more kids before the year's out.
Don't rule it out. Last thing, Jersey Shore.
Yes.
You're a longtime fan.
I'm a huge
it's a
fan.
2-year show, but you've been a fan since 1988.
Since I was in high school with the cast, yeah.
Joey, you and I seem to be the only people who appreciated the genius of the Joey Yanks J420 part.
Yes. I just thought that was so funny because she's like, Angelina or whatever, she's like, well, who told you I was talking behind your back? The dumbest argument in the history of mankind, by the way.
Nobody's going to answer that one.
And Jay Wow's like, well, I heard it from 2 of my best friends. So she's like, who? And you figure she's going to say people with real names. And she's like,
Bobby and Frank.
Yeah, exactly. She's like J420, Joey Yanks, and then like a third guy whose name I didn't catch. And it sounded like the FBI surveillance tapes of like the John Gotti thing. It's like that's the way gangsters always have all these nicknames. Joey 420 and J420 and Joey Yanks.
Or it sounded like people she just knew on Twitter.
Yeah, exactly. Even better, yeah.
Recent friends she had made online. Joey Yanks told me he direct messaged me that you were talking stuff.
And the way she just rattled it off, for some reason it just struck me as so damn funny. Like, oh, J420 and Joey Yanks, those are unimpeachable sources, clearly.
I like that. I'm going to be working them into my columns for the next 10 years. Anytime, instead of unnamed sources or sources telling me, I'm just going right to J420 and Joey Yanks.
J420 tells me the whole Brady myth with the Kraft thing has been overblown.
Joey Yanks reports that Peyton Manning is close to a deal. I love those guys.
Oh, yeah, that was so funny.
And why haven't they surfaced? Why don't we know what these guys look like? Why don't they have a Twitter, like a real Twitter account? There's a lot of fake Twitter accounts that sprung up. But
somebody should come out. And Jersey Shore, it's just transcendent now because now they're famous. And the situation is just openly a cartoon, and he just embraces being a cartoon.
I love it. And it does seem like, you know, obviously they're more aware of the cameras, and like he orders the pizza and he says, "Oh, it's going to be for situation," and it's obvious that they told him to do that, and it's obvious that they put the chicken in the fridge so it would tip over when Snooki opened it, stuff like that. But I don't hold it. I still enjoy every minute of it.
I mean, just to watch her when the chicken was on the floor and it was like trying to explain to her nuclear fission, like how to pick it up. You know, it was just like she just had no concept. And then the other one who was like, you can't use paper towels for some reason to clean up the chicken. You have to use a rag. That's a much better idea.
Yeah.
Let's get the E. coli in some sort of a reusable towel.
Do you think Sammy and Ronnie are like, we grew up with Sam and Diane and the moonlighting couple, and you know, you look at the famous TV couples on down the line. Have they moved into that stratosphere for you?
Well, you know what I was thinking when I watched the show the other day, and this is bad, but if there was a team of cameras following O.J. and Nicole Simpson in like the early 90s, like circa 1991, it would look a lot like the relationship between Sammy and Ronnie, I think.
You're talking about the volatile swings.
The volatile, the breaking up, the professions of love and tears and crying, only to then have a massive volcanic blow up 5 minutes later.
Right.
I mean, they just have to stay away from each other. There's just no two ways about it.
It's a toxic relationship, Johnny.
Toxic doesn't even do it justice. It's horrific. And it occurs in the course, it changes 10 times in the course of an hour.
It reminded
me,
90210 was running on one of those stupid cable channels, and it was the season when Dylan was drinking again. Which I don't care. I don't care how many times I'm going to watch it if it's on. I'm just down. Let's just lock it down. It's gonna. And during that whole stretch, Donna was getting involved with the abusive Ray Pruitt with one T because that was all his mama could afford. And they were fighting before they even started dating. The scenes were playing it like he came over and brought pumpkins, and she was on a date with another guy, and he smashed all the pumpkins outside her beach house. Right. I was watching with my wife, and she was like, you know, that probably should have been the deal breaker right there. The 10 smashed pumpkins right next to the front door.
But he was the abusive guy from the wrong side of the tracks who liked to play the power ballads on his guitar, the slow ballads. That never quite worked. The songs that they chose for him in his music career.
I still defend his music. I think. Every time I hear it, I get excited.
Was this even real life Jamie Waters?
Jamie Walters, yeah.
Walters, that's it.
And you know, it's interesting. The Ray Pruitt character ruined his career because he would go on tour and people would blame him for pushing Donna down the stairs. And he was like, "How was a TV character?" Everybody really thought he did it.
That's too bad for him. Maybe he can make a comeback. People have long memory, they have short memories rather. So maybe he can come back.
But I mean, bring it back to Jersey Shore. Like, when you're fighting that angrily and violently, even before you're dating, that's a bad sign. And I think when you break up and you're still fighting and being angry, and it's probably a sign to maybe move on.
Yeah, I would think so. It's not
good. Relationships just kind of go and they work.
It's not good or healthy for anybody. Their toxicity, I don't think.
I think it's the problem is that they're the only two people on the planet who are the same size. They're both 3'11".
See, what the problem is that he well, there's a lot of problems, but one of them is he's locked down with her, sort of, and then he sees like the situation, and Paulie D and everybody go out, quote unquote, creeping at the club, and all these girls all over them, and I think part of him is like, hey, that should be me, I'm all juiced up and raring to go too. And then I got this ball and chain hanging onto me, and then if she looks cross-eyed at some other guy, that gives him an excuse to blow up, and then he can go out and grab 5 skanks.
You're not watching the L Word, the real L Word, are you?
No, I'm not. I did catch like 5 minutes of it one night.
I'm ashamed to admit that I've watched every episode of this show. This is my weakness, Johnny. Reality TV.
No,
I'm not going to apologize.
Can't help yourself.
If you're going to have the first ever all-lesbian reality show on a cable network where they could show nudity, I'm going to watch it.
You could certainly have worse vices than reality TV, So
thank you. Yeah, this is my one vice.
There you go.
Other than heavy gambling. But they have these, it's like these 4 lesbian couples on the Real L Word. And one of them is Rose and Natalie. And Rose got mad. Rose is like I guess she's like the dominant person in the relationship.
Okay.
I don't want to use the term that they use on it, but you can guess what it is. Uh-huh. And Natalie's more of like the prototypical girlfriend.
Okay.
You sound nervous.
I am. I don't know where this is going.
So Natalie did something that angered Rose, and Rose decided that this gave her a free pass to rent a hotel room with 4 of her friends and have strippers.
Of course.
And it was like, this is my free pass. She knows what she did. I'm not going to tell her, but as far as the way she's acting, I get a free pass.
Nice.
I was like, this is awesome. The Rose free pass.
It's pretty good.
Give yourself the free pass because you just don't like how your significant other is acting.
Yeah. Sounds pretty good.
I want to see if Obama could shepherd this in 2012, some sort of legislation.
There you go. Part of his re-election campaign.
Hey, what was this whipped cream and this stripper's whip? Oh, I used my free pass.
I used my Rose free pass.
You're missing out on that show, Johnny.
I'll have to check it out. I do have. It's on Showtime, right?
Yes.
I do have Showtime, so maybe it's available on demand. I can catch up on the backlog of episodes.
I've known you for 22 years, and if you don't like the Real L Word, then my whole life has been a lie.
It's all been a lie.
I'll tell you that much. The other one that's good on Showtime that I watched the pilot of is the Big C.
With
Laura Linney.
Laura Linney, yeah.
Excellent.
Show about cancer. I don't know.
It's the thing, though. It's not like you think it would be. It's very good.
Yeah, all right.
Thumbs up.
I don't really like those dramas. I'll check it out.
You're out on cancer?
Or whatever. I watched. I have like 2 shows that are appointment television: the Jersey Shore and Mad Men. That's it.
There you go.
So it's me in a nutshell, right there.
Where did you stand on the polarizing Mad Men Season 3 episode, which I'm going to spoil, and we're going to end this podcast after that, so if you want to go right now, go ahead.
Hello?
Yeah, I was talking to the listeners.
Oh, okay, I see.
Yeah.
I thought you were telling me to go. I was like, oh, okay.
Episode 3.
That's the most recent one we just had?
Yes, the one when he goes to California.
Why was that polarizing?
Some people hated it. I thought it was great.
I thought it was good, too.
I thought
they were kind of trying to fit too much into one episode, maybe. Like the California trip could have been one whole episode.
Yeah.
And like his night on the town with Lane could have been expanded into one whole episode. And
I love that. I love the night on the town with Lane.
That was fantastic.
The movie theater murdered me. I was keeled over.
Yeah, they were great drunk in the theater.
Yeah.
Lane really came out of his shell in that one.
Really did. I also thought that was an Emmy award-winning performance by him.
Yeah, he's really good.
He's
a good
all
actor.
Over the map in that show, and it was all good and a lot of good range for him. I was surprised people didn't like that show. I thought it kind of put together some puzzle pieces.
It was also interesting to learn that high-class prostitutes were only $25 in 1964.
Yeah, noted.
High-class escorts, $25.
I was thinking about it when I was watching the show. Like, so Don, he's in the car with that 18-year-old blonde. And I'm sitting there watching. I'm just thinking, like, get her. Do it. Make it happen. And I was trying to think, like, what other TV characters over the course of history would I have been rooting for in that situation the same way I root for, like, one of my teams?
To jump on an 18-year-old.
Like, Sam Malone was like that. And Sonny Crockett absolutely was like that. Like, anytime somebody came on my investment, all right, Sonny, come on. Take care of business, buddy. But, like, Sheena Easton came in that year. Like, all right, come on, Sonny.
Oh, yeah.
But Draper, to me, that made me realize that he's my favorite character right now by far of anybody.
Oh, he's fantastic. But this year he's a little sad because he's making these like clumsy passes, and normally he would have sealed the deal, and now it's like he's getting rejected.
I know, but it's interesting. I when the Tiger thing initially happened, I wrote a thing comparing the last part of the column was comparing him to Don Draper in that final episode of season 1 where he does the Kodachrome speech. Yeah. And about Tiger and Draper, how similar they were with the perfect family on paper, but it really wasn't. Right. And now it's like they still parallel each other. Yes. Tiger shooting a 77 the same weekend that Draper can't seal the deal with an 18-year-old. I know. And he's like out of sorts. He's drinking all the time. Poor Tiger. It's like he can't even barely make cuts. The mirror images, Johnny.
The thing with his secretary was a bad move, kind of like Tiger with the one waitress who's brutal looking.
Right, the diner waitress.
Yeah, there are scary parallels there. Yeah, so it's interesting what's happened to Don because he was always like the master of the universe, and
I know
everything just like rolled off his back, and he never had any problems. And now it's just like one punch to the gut after another, seemingly, and just like, oh, Don, don't do that, Don. You're a TV going, no, don't do that, and then he does it. You know, he never did that before.
Well, you think like last year with the teacher at his school.
Yeah.
And he didn't really make a fool of himself going after her, but he was definitely intrigued. Yeah. And then they were outside and they were talking, and he kind of made his move. It was like watching a cobra strike. Yeah. The teacher didn't even know what was happening. All of a sudden, she's like, bringing Don back to her place, but. He was at the top of his game. Now it's
just making mistakes.
Drunken gropes of the secretaries.
That was so bad. I was like, no, Don, no. Just brutal.
But when he had the 18-year-old blonde in the car, you're like, come on, Don. Come on. Bring it back. Fire 99, baby. Reach back for the fastball.
He's like, well, my plane leaves tomorrow unless I should cancel it.
It reminded me of one of our old friends from college that I won't name when we used to have the fake pickup lines that he would say. Yeah. How about I bring you back to my room and put my tongue in your mouth? It was like one of those lines.
Yeah, it's a rough patch for Don this year.
Poor Don Draper.
Yeah.
He'll get it back, I think, Johnny.
Let's hope so. Let's hope.
Do you miss Betty at all?
Not really. I miss looking at her, but I don't miss her acting. Or lack thereof.
I think she flees on that guy.
Really? Yeah, I think see that's not going to last.
Something bad is going to happen with the daughter, and they've been setting it up, and it's just, I don't know what bad, but it's going to be bad.
Well, you know what it's setting up to be in the long term is that the daughter is going to become like the hippie generation, and it will explain like why they were rebelling against society and and the establishment. And taking drugs, and you could see her at Woodstock and all that because that was what she was rebelling against, was like the way her parents were and the way she was treated. That's what it's going to be leading up to.
So you
eventually.
Think she lives? I thought she was going to die this season.
Oh, no. I don't think so.
I thought they're setting it up with that weird kid.
Well, the weird kid, I think, was trying to help her. That kid's, he was trying to help her out because she wanted to move out of the house. So now it'll be like, we can't stay in this neighborhood. It's not safe. So I think he was trying to do her a solid there, even though he's a weirdo.
So you predict that it's going to unfold like the Wonder Years with the daughter and the Wonder Years?
Yes, exactly.
Leaving a little early, getting the VW van.
Yes.
Doing that whole thing.
Because they showed the thing, there was one last year, I think, like when her grandfather died, and she was watching the news, and it was like about like a Buddhist monk in Vietnam setting himself on fire because of like the oppression in Vietnam at the time, and you could sort of see they were like planting the seed of like this will be like the whole like rebellious thing, and like the world sucks basically.
The dying cancer woman said that in Sunday's show. She said something like the young people, they're the ones that are going to save us.
Oh, yeah. And he said to her, like, oh, you go to Berkeley, where do you spend all your time sitting in or whatever, like they were all leading up to that,
I thought it was a great episode. I love, both you and I hated the English major crowd in college, but I thought there was a lot of cool stuff going on in this one, and the whole with the woman dying, that's the loss of his identity, and who the hell is he, and that's the only family he has. And
right, she's the one that knew him better than anybody else, and that part is over now, and now he's really alone.
He's got both of his identities have basically been shot to hell. He writes that thing on the wall, and the Don and Nancy, whatever her name is, 64, and it's just, I don't know. Felt bad for Don Draper.
It was a rough one for him.
I think he needs to bounce back with a stewardess or something, Johnny.
Well, I was always hoping that he and Joan would get together.
Oh, I was going to bring that up because clearly the one thing we can agree on is that her husband's going to die in Vietnam.
Oh, there's no question.
Yeah, he'd lock it down.
And he, what he and Joan would be like? It would be like LeBron and Wade playing together in Miami. I think he needs to take his talents to Joan.
I've been waiting. Listen, we're all waiting this season for Joan. This episode starting out with Joan getting the phone call that her husband's been killed in Vietnam, followed by the drinks with Roger Sterling and Don Draper when they just jockey.
Yeah.
They're just jockeying for the first Joan post-husband.
That would create a little Roger, reignite a little Roger-Don tension.
Yeah, listen, as 90210 proved, you can never go wrong with a love triangle.
Absolutely.
It doesn't matter what shape it is. It could be an isosceles. It could be a straight triangle. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely.
Always going to work. All right, Johnny.
All right, buddy.
We'll talk to you soon. Worst of luck with the Yankees.
Thanks. Right back at you.
Hey, we should mention... Bill, you talked about a Sports Nation poll. Well, we got one up on the BS Report page now.
Oh,
so you can go vote. Was are you on JackO's side or are you on Bill and I's side? What should Mark Teixeira have done?
Joe Meade, look at you.
Well done.
Integrating the page. I love this. Yeah, our BS Report page, which, by the way, you can check out all of JackO's old podcasts, including the legendary April 2009 podcast when he besmirched the name of Mariano Rivera and others. You'll never forget about that one, John.
No, please.
When you turned on Rivera, a part of me died and a part of the nation died.
I know. It was a rough patch. I regret it deeply.
You're angry. It was 8 years of frustration. Imagine if you went like 70 years without a title. How crazy it would have been.
Yeah, it would have been bad.
After 8, you were going off the deep end.
Right. It would have been bad. 70, I can't even think about.
Joe, do we have a URL for the BS Report, or is it one of those like super long ones that nobody would remember?
It's kind of super long, but if you just go to the front page of ESPN.com and in your box there on the front page, there's a link to the BS Report page.
God forbid we spent $50 to buy the BSReport.com. That might make too much sense. Hey, my cell phone just went off.
Nice.
All right, so check out that. Check out, vote for the poll, vote for me and Joe Meade, and we'll see you later in the BS Report.
All right, so long, buddy.
So I get to sign off. Whoa!
Thank you for downloading the BS Report with Bill Simmons.
Too much fun.
Check out more podcasts at the iTunes Music Store or at Pod Center at ESPNRadio.com.
Peace out.
This concludes another episode of the BS Report. And we leave you with this final thought. Only Subway helps you build your better breakfast. Choose what you love, like the delicious double bacon and cheese omelet on toasty, tasty, foot-long flatbread. Make it your own with spicy jalapenos, banana peppers, and juicy tomatoes. And while you're here, grab lunch to go, too, on your choice of freshly baked bread, like the $5 foot-long BLT, and spice it up with fiery Chipotle Southwest sauce. Subway. Eat fresh.